Hey, what up, guys? Coming to you today, another 2020 mid-year top 10. So I'm going to be breaking down the 154-pound super welterweight division, running through the top 10 there, see what's going on. We're going to jump right into it, and I'm going to look at the number 10 fighter. Pretty much everything, I believe, give me a second, guys. I believe everything pretty much stayed the same from the beginning of the year, because not a lot of stuff's been going down at 154. I mean, we had a couple guys fight, but not a lot. So just kind of running through real quick, making sure that everything's pretty much on the up and up still and the same. And let me see here. Actually, no, we did have some movement. So let's jump into that. Dropping out is French contender Michel Soro. Haven't heard anything. I've been expecting him to get a mandatory shot because he is the WBA gold champion, which is kind of like, in some ways, a number one contender. I've been meaning to see what was going to go down with him, and just nothing's been going down with Soro. He hasn't fought at all. I know part of it's because of the pandemic, but they haven't been clear, the WBA, on whether he's going to get a shot at Arizona Lara for the title, or if he's going to get a shot at Jason Rosario, the super champ now, or possibly fight for the mandatory title shot against Jarrett Hurd, who's the number one contender. So waiting around for that. I'm hoping he lands something decent, though, because he's deserving. He's been the gold champion for a while, and he got pushed over last year, so we'll see what goes down. Now, I believe he's the only guy dropping out of the 10, though. So now, at number 10 is the former world title challenger, Erickson Lubin. Lubin, it looked like in April he was going to come back and fight for the interim title, but they didn't have an opponent for him as of yet. But now, I know he's accepted a challenge from Terrell Gaucher, but I haven't heard anything from the Gaucher camp. So, kind of up in the air what's going on right now. The thing with Lubin is he's an avoided fighter, a widely avoided fighter. He's talented as shit, but and the guy who's champion in the weight class that he's number one in the WBC is the guy that knocked him out, the only guy that beat him. Charlo beat him in the first round, so Charlo doesn't have to fight him, and he's not lining himself up to fight him next. And he's also got a tricky style, and he's very talented. He's a southpaw, so he's not a guy everybody's lining up for. So I'm hoping, though, we hear something soon about him and when he'll be fighting, because I want to see him back in action. I like Erickson Lubin a lot. I think he's talented as shit, and I really want to see what he does next. So we'll keep you posted on that. Hopefully we hear something soon. The PBC's starting to get their stuff together and set up their fights, and it looks like they're going to get rolling in August. So I'm hoping we hear something soon out of him. Next at number 9, dropping one spot from number 8, is Terrell Gaucher, former world title challenger. Gaucher, another guy, haven't heard anything. He hasn't fought since May of last year, when he pretty much got robbed in that fight against Austin Trout, in a fight that ended up being declared a draw, but he should have won the fight. I mean, he dominated the action. He should have won, but it went against him. I'm not sure what Gaucher's doing. Like I said, he challenged Erickson Lubin. Lubin accepted the challenge. They did a online thing, and then I haven't heard anything from the Gaucher camp. It's been about a month now. So these guys almost fought last year. I think it's probably the most real opponent that Gaucher could fight, and if he fights him, it's probably for an interim title, so why not do it? But I honestly think that fight's a possibility, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do like a interim fight for both guys in between before they set it up, like maybe towards the end of the year. Again, PBC's coming back soon. Gaucher's part of the PBC. We'll see what goes down. Next at number 8 is the WBO champion Patrick Tashera. He drops one spot from number 7. Tashera was set to make a mandatory defense of his title in April on a Golden Boy card on DAZN against undefeated former world champion Brian Castano. Everything was good to go, and then the coronavirus pandemic canceled that fight card. There's no news on if Tashera is going to still have to face Castano next. We know they have to fight. He's the mandatory challenger, but we don't know if it's going to be next, or if they're going to order fights in between, or what's going to go down. I really do believe we're going to hear something soon. Golden Boy's getting rolling at the end of this month, July. the PBC, who Castaño fights for, is getting rolling at the beginning of August. So we should hear something soon on what Tashera is doing. He's been called out by Spike O'Sullivan. I don't think that'd be a bad opponent, and other fighters as well. So hopefully we hear something soon on that. Next at number 7, and he drops, I think, one spot from number 6, is the former WBC champion Tony Harrison. Haven't heard anything out of Harrison on what he's doing next, outside of the fact that I believe his father and trainer passed away due to the coronavirus. So sad event there. Really, heart goes out to Tony Harrison, the former champ. Other than that, he's ranked. I think he's ranked number 3 in the WBC right now, and that's his highest ranking, I believe. Hold on, yeah, he's in the WBC's number 3 ranked contender. He could jump in at any moment and do something. Personally, I think he'll probably come back towards the end of the year and maybe just kind of stay busy. With the loss of his father and all that, and then losing last year to Charlo, probably going to take some time off. Maybe not even fight at all this year, but I hope he does, because Harrison does have some talent, and he's in a big pool that is owned by the PBC at 154, and he can really jump back in at any moment. I wouldn't be surprised if he signed on to face Erickson Lubin for the interim title. That's how much balls I think Tony Harrison has, so we'll see. Next at number 6, dropping one spot from number 5, is the undefeated former WBA champion Brian Castaño. Castaño was lined up, mandatory title shot. He was lined up for Patrick Tashera, as we said, for DAZN in April. It got canceled due to the coronavirus. Haven't heard if this fight's going to get rescheduled right away. He is a mandatory challenger, so he might get a crack at the title still later on, but the WBO might allow a couple interim fights in between, since Castaño hasn't fought since last November, and actually neither has Tashera. They fought about 3 weeks apart from each other last November. So will this fight get rescheduled? I'm hoping they go straight into it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got interim fights first. So we'll see. But if they do fight, I think Castaño's going to beat Tashera and become the new world champion. So we'll see what happens. Excuse me. Next at number 5, dropping 2 spots from being tied for 3rd, and that's WBA regular champion Erislan Lara. I have heard nothing on Lara except for the fact that he is an option for Jermell Charlo, but I think he's the second option. Charlo, I believe he really wants to unify belts with Jason Rosario, the new unified champ. Erislan Lara is the second option because he only holds one secondary title, which is the WBA regular belt. He is a bigger name than Rosario, though, but he doesn't bring as many title belts to the picture, and I'm not sure if Lara is going to be ordered to make a mandatory defense against Michel Soro from France, or Jarrett Hurd, who's the number 1 contender right now in the WBA. Everything's kind of up in the air, but I am expecting to hear something soon. Lara hasn't fought though since August 31st of last year, so he's creeping up on a year. He's older, he's 36. We got to see what happens and when he's going to be returning to the ring. So I'm hoping it's sometime soon that we hear what's going on for him. The PBC's getting rolling in August. I don't think he's going to hit the Charlo fight. If he does, I think he's got a chance of winning. Personally, I think Charlo beats him by a close decision, but I do think he's got a very good chance of pulling off the win there. Personally, I think he's going to face probably Michel Soro and beat him. If he faces Jarrett Hurd, I think he's going to lose. So those, to me, are probably his 3 options right now, but we'll see what happens. Next at number 4, and he actually drops 2 spots from number 2, is the former unified champion Jarrett Hurd. Hurd returned to action in January, coming off his first loss to Julian J. Rock Williams last May, where he lost the unified title. He took on Francisco Santana, a little-known veteran. He implemented a new style of boxing, boxing as well. He's jabbing a lot, he's boxing a lot. And then towards, the later rounds, it was a 10-round fight, he started pouring it on like the old Jarrett Hurd. It was too late to score the knockout, but he did score a knockdown in the 10th round. It was just it wasn't a workmanlike decision, but it was a convincing decision, just not an overwhelming one, because he wanted to box Santana and get some rounds in. I can't blame him from that. He got the clean win, and he's pushing forward. What's going on with Jarrett Hurd now, we have no idea. Jarrett Hurd is widely avoided, though, I'll tell you that. Nobody wants to fight him. Now that he doesn't have any title belts, he's not a very attractive fighter, so I think Hurd's going to have to mandate a fight. He's number 1 in the WBA. I think he's praying that the WBA mandates him to face Jason Rosario, the champion, the super champion, or regular champion Erislandy Lara in a rematch. Not sure they're going to do that. He might end up having to face Michel Soro in to determine the mandatory #1 contender, because Soro is the gold champion right now, which is all fucked up in the WBA. But there's also another scenario. I think it's possible that the IBF might allow Hurd to fight for their mandatory #1 contendership. That was the first title he won. He would fight an undefeated, unknown fighter who's #1 right now, but if victorious, he's got a direct shot at the unified champ, Jason Rosario. So kind of up in the air. I think the governing bodies are waiting around for the virus to see how boxing comes back and when all the promotions get going. Jarrett Hurd's with the PBC, but also I think they're waiting around to see what Jermell Charlo does, because he's the top guy in the division, what he decides to do, and then I think everything else will start falling into place. But whoever Jarrett Hurd fights, I believe he's the favorite. I believe he's going to beat him, and I'm hoping he gets a decent-sized fight before the end of the year. Next up at number 3, dropping 2 spots from #1, is the former unified champion Julian J-Rock Williams. J-Rock went into January, made an optional defense against little-known Jason Rosario, and got his ass thoroughly whipped. He got knocked out in 5 rounds. He just seemed like he was totally overlooking Rosario and looking towards the future, and he got his ass whipped. He had a mandatory rematch clause in a contract. He said he was going to cash in on it, and then decided about a couple months later that he wasn't going to cash in on it. So right now it's up in the air what J-Rock is going to do next. He's number 3 in the WBA, is his highest ranking. He's in the very talented, deep pool of the PBC, so he really could fight anybody, but does he want to fight anybody? Is he down to fight whoever is out there? Right now, coming off a knockout loss like that, I don't think so. I think we're going to see J-Rock come back, probably against some little-known or unknown fighter before the end of the year, and then that's going to be it for him. So that's what I think, but I wouldn't be surprised if he signed on for a big fight. I just don't see J-Rock doing that. Next at number 2, and he is breaking into the top 10 for his first time, is newly crowned unified champion Jason Rosario. He captured the WBA Super and the IBF titles with an impressive 5th round TKO over Julian J-Rock Williams. That was in January. Right now it's up in the air what Rosario wants to do. He's went back and forth as the favorite to get the Jermell Charlo fight, which would be a unification bout. But there's also speculation that he might have to make his IBF mandatory against undefeated Kudrat something Tio. I'm not sure what they're going to do, because Jarrett Hurd's also sitting there as the #1 contender in the WBA. Will they make him fight him? Right now it's kind of up in the air. Once everything starts falling into place, I think we're going to find out. But I haven't heard anything from the IBF that he has to make a mandatory next. So I really think he's the favorite to get the fight with Charlo. It makes sense for Charlo. But, and I think it makes sense for Rosario in terms of a bigger fight. But is that going to happen? We got to wait and see. Hopefully we hear something soon. And finally, still at number 1 is the reigning 2-time WBC champion, Jermell Charlo of the United States. Charlo, again, I've been saying it throughout this top 10. It looks like Jason Rosario's his favorite. He's in an optional mode. He doesn't have to make a mandatory next. Rosario seems like the favorite. Not sure that's going to be where he leans, but that seems to be the favorite right now. Personally, I think he is going to face Rosario. I think he's going to knock him out and unify all belts. And then I think he wants to do that because I don't think he wants to face Erickson Lubin again, his #1 contender, in a mandatory fight later on. So he very easily could just vacate the WBC belt because he has other titles to hold on to. That's what I think he's going to go for. So I really don't see another fight. Maybe the Erislandy Lara fight, because Lara's a secondary champ. But I really feel like Charlo's going to face Rosario next and get a big win here. Hopefully we hear something soon as the PBC starts to get everything going. But that's it for the mid-year top 10s for the 154-pound super welterweight division. Hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.